Welcome back to the Talking with Taylor podcast. I'm your host, Taylor, where we talk about anything with anyone, and hopefully everyone around the table will listen. And today we have a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, and we met about probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I just adore his family. I love Miss Judy, Miss Cindy, Olivia, and Noah. But today we have on our podcast Mr. Adam Robertson. How you doing, Mr. Adam?
Doing great, Taylor. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing good, doing good. Lindley and I are getting ready to head to Atlanta. I've got to do a wedding tomorrow, so I've got to. We're gonna run over there, do the wedding, and head back for church on that Sunday. So we're getting busy, but everything going okay in Tennessee?
Everything is wonderful in Tennessee. It's fall. The leaves are
Yes.
starting to change. Got out this morning with some friends of mine, and we rode our bicycles, and I messed up because it was 39 degrees when I got up this morning.
Yes.
And when I sent out the invitation to ride, I looked at the weather. But Cindy and I are heading to Destin tomorrow, and I had
Oh
my weather app
goodness.
set for Destin, and I thought it was going to be 61. So I
Mm,
about froze to death this morning. So technology can be good, but it can also get you in trouble, I guess.
absolutely.
It's beautiful time of the year here, though, in the mountains.
It is. I remember coming up, like, I think 2 years ago, and I went to the Alabama Tennessee game with you guys, and just beautiful scenery there in Harrogate. And it's funny because Monday we did a podcast with two of my friends from Las Vegas who were saying, "Hey, it's fall. It's 101 degrees in Las Vegas, and I've got a interview with you today in Tennessee, and it was 39 this morning." So two totally different ends of the spectrum that we got, and so Mr. Adam and I met about 5 or 6 years ago.
5 years, yeah.
I, and it's crazy that it's been, and Lily and I were talking about it through this thing called Tri-State Youth Choir, and your dad founded that about how long? 30 something years ago.
It started, I guess the choir in its current iteration probably started in the early 80s, about
Okay.
1981 or 82. I think it kind of morphed over a 2 or 3 year period. So it's going on about 42 years of existence right
Wow.
now.
That is, and this is the first year in those 42 years that we weren't able to have the choir tour, correct?
They started they started doing the choir tour in the early 80s,
Yes.
and that's so it started out with just a few students and choir director and my mom uh, playing the piano and
Hmm.
kind of working on that. And I think they started in Ohio. I was a kid at the time, so I don't,
Right.
I didn't go. I stayed behind, but they spent some time in Ohio, and I think they did Savannah, Georgia. We did the Charlotte area, and then it morphed into Myrtle Beach, and then to the version that in
Right.
Florida with Jacksonville and Orlando and different some different ministries there. And it's really been a kind of a cool thing to watch because uh, I am not musical, but because my parents were involved, I was involved,
Yep.
and so I was involved in the 80s and the early 90s, and now my kids have gone through it, and
That's right.
so I don't know when we'll get to third generation, if we will get to third generation, but um, it's been around for a while, and it's been good and exciting for a lot of people.
It really, and it is so unique, the concept. And I remember my first year that I was there, just kind of blown away about how everything operated. And I didn't really know what I was getting into. Really, I got an email from you, and through our mutual friend Dr. J. And I thought I was just going to be going speaking and being done. But it turns out, I've, just fallen in love with you guys, fallen in love with the tour and the vision. And it's not just the choir tour; it's a mission trip too. You're going and serving, and it is just an incredible time, an incredible trip, an incredible vision. So, how did this idea of tri-state get started?
Well, like you mentioned, I'm in East Tennessee, but I sit right on the border of Kentucky and Virginia and Tennessee. And matter of fact, the mountains you see behind me are part Tennessee and part on this Zoom call and part
Yeah.
Kentucky, and Virginia is on the other side of my office. So we sit right here in this area, and through some crusades, things that used to happen in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
churches would come together, and whether it be from Virginia, Kentucky, or Tennessee. So they built a student-led choir or a youth choir to perform during those worship services. And out of that, it kind of grew and morphed into what it is now. The crusades don't happen anymore, but the choir still exists, and it serves as a kind of a basis to get kids out of the area, to
Yeah.
get them serving, to expand their worldview, and it's really just over time it's changed and morphed into what it is. There have been several youth pastors that have gone along to do kind of the role that you stepped into.
Right.
My my mom and dad started that, like I said, in the late 70s, or were a part of it. And my dad passed away in 2014. So when it came time to get ready to go out, the the student pastor who had been going had taken a senior pastor job. He was kind of on his way out, and I we're trying to think of who could go, and you got to be kind of careful in our area, because if you select a student pastor from one church,
That's
then
right.
the other pastors, hey, why didn't you select my guy?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we decided to exhaust some of our resources, and I called our good friend Jay Strack at Student Leadership. And I know you talk about Jay a lot. He has influenced my life. He's influenced like yours and my children's lives immensely. And he gave me two or three names, and started reaching out. And once we talked, I was like, this is the guy. This guy, he'll get what we're doing, and the students are going to love him. And they did, and they really loved you after you brought your bride Lindley on
Uh,
the trip with you, and that sealed the deal.
Yeah, she usually does. She usually seals the deal. She makes me look a lot better than I am. I know that for sure, and I'm so thankful that God has brought us together, because it's not just the 1 week that we get to spend together, because we do love that. We'll have to talk about the taco truck in a minute. I forgot
Oh,
about that. We'll have to
love the
bring.
taco truck.
Yes, 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 and hopefully they're still around. And if there's anybody in Jacksonville listening, go to the taco truck. Is it what's the name of the beach there?
It's at Jacksonville Beach, and it's across from the Metro Diner. I don't know the name
Yes,
of the street. It's
uh,
close to the Hampton Inn, across from the Metro Diner. It's at
yes.
the, was it a 7-Eleven parking lot?
Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
think so. And
That
so,
taco truck is great.
yes, and if you're there, go by there, keep them in business until next year, so we can,
That's right.
so
That's
we
right.
can go back by. But like I was saying, it's we've not just that 1 week. We've really, created a great friendship. Like I said, I love Miss Judy. I love your kids. I can't believe Olivia is, what's she going to be, a junior now?
She's a junior. Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
she is a junior, not going to be. She is a junior, and Noah, is he a senior?
He's a junior in high school.
Junior
Yeah.
in high school. So he is. I mean, time is flying by, because I mean, I know it is for you, and Lily and I are getting ready to have a son in March. So
Congratulations.
we are excited. We're about to get into that world, but let's dive in. That's kind of the. I think we might do another segment. We're going to do a segment with Adam, and probably once every other month or something. I think as Tri-State gets closer, we can dive into a little bit more of Tri-State. But let's talk about what you do, and what your role is, and let's talk about how you guys are operating during a global pandemic. So for all our listeners, what do you do? What's your role? What's your title?
Okay. I am the president of a community bank located headquartered in East Tennessee, here in Harrogate, named Commercial Bank. And I've been here since 1997. So we've been through some strange times over the last 23 or so years.
Right.
But we're not small by community bank standards, but we're not large by Bank of America or
Right.
J.P. Morgan standards. So we've kind of carved out our little niche here in rural Appalachia, and we think we're pretty good at what we do, and it keeps us on our toes. So it's been a challenging adventure, but a fun adventure through the years. And this pandemic has really stretched everyone.
Absolutely. And so we were talking before we started recording, and I did hit the record button, so we are good. And so, but we were talking before that a lot of businesses were shut down and kind of at a standstill, but you guys with interest rates and everything the way it is, you guys have been nonstop, right?
It has been it's been a crazy time. Of course, in March when this hits, you don't know. No one knows.
Right.
It's been over 100 years since we've experienced something globally like this, and your customers start calling, and I think about customers that are in the hotel business,
Mm.
and suddenly no one's traveling,
Right.
no tourists, no businesses, and all of a sudden they've got to make a payment on a $56 million project
Yep.
with no revenue.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so those are the things that keep you up at night. Those are the things that when this hit, you know, there's two things that are the lifeline of a bank, and that's credit quality and liquidity.
Right.
You don't want people making a run on the bank, taking all their money out,
Right.
and you want your borrowers to be able to make their payments.
Mm-hmm.
So navigating through those first kind of 90 days were really difficult. Um, w- Different parts of the country experienced it differently.
Right. Right.
And I know that you're in the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham media market, and I'm closer to Knoxville, but we've got branches in the mid-state as well around Nashville. And so everywhere's a little bit different. We didn't experience it like New York did.
Right.
It was, it, you know, we're so rural. Look, I mean, we never know when times are good, much less when times are bad here in the mountains.
That's right. That's right.
So if you came to Harrogate today and walked around, it would be as if nothing had happened,
That's right.
unless you went to the college campus. But church happens,
Yeah.
dining out happens, uh, high school football wide open. Kids are back in school. Been back in school since August 10th,
Right.
uh, and and so in our rural markets, we were able to navigate through that a little differently.
That's right.
Our branch, we also have offices in Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
and that governor has approached it completely different than the governor of Tennessee has. So you've got some employees that are required to wear masks and some that aren't, and navigating all of that has been a challenge. But ultimately, it seems like the business has been pretty stable, pretty
Mm-hmm.
steady here, and most of our customers seem to be doing okay at this time.
Right.
And we'll see what the election holds and
Right.
what the first quarter of next year holds. If a vaccine comes, if it doesn't, um, certainly the government is not in a position to do a lot more stimulus than what they did.
Right.
You just never know. But it's been a wild 6 months for sure.
No doubt. And several people that I've talked to, and you're in a leadership position, in a leadership role, and unfortunately, a lot of leaders have not had the same approach as you've had. You've obviously looked at the situation, you've pivoted, you understand what's going on in Kentucky. Like I said, you got branches in Nashville and you got them in Harrogate, and you're not just looking at just one area. You're looking at the overall picture, and you were able to pivot during a crucial time. And leaders, talking about leadership, talking about Dr. J, one thing that I have seen, not just in this situation with you guys, but seen in your life after knowing you for 5 or 6 years, and is knowing that you are a great leader and you know how to pivot in difficult situations. But unfortunately, there are some leaders who, maybe they wouldn't be called leaders at all, that don't know how to pivot during these situations. And those that haven't pivoted, those who have used COVID as an excuse rather than an opportunity, are those that are going to be kind of left behind when this is all over. Because at some point, when this is all over, those that haven't adjusted, those who haven't pivoted, those who haven't stepped up to the plate and looked at their organizations and churches, because you've got some, unfortunately, some pastors who are using this as an excuse to take a break instead of and especially around here in some areas in rural Alabama, it's like, hey, we're just going to wait, but hey, you can't just wait. You've got to learn how to pivot regardless of the situation. It may look different. It may look different how you work, how you serve, how you lead, but you can't just stop being a leader during a crisis, during adversity. And so it's great to see that you guys have done that, and you guys have pivoted and are moving forward. So, but anyways, I kind of got on a tangent there just because I've seen unfortunately, and I'm sure you've seen some too, where this has been used more of as an excuse rather than an opportunity to get better. And so, and it's a real thing. I mean, my grandmother had it for 2 months, and she was almost hospital bound, but she fought through it. And it's a real thing. We need to take it seriously, but at the same time, we can't stop leading. We can't stop living, and we can't stop. We can't stop being who we are.
That's right. We have about 280 employees, so they've all got life situations. They've all got family situations they have to deal with. We've maybe had 9 or 10 employees here test positive.
Mm.
Fortunately, none of them have been uh, beyond flu-like symptoms.
Good.
Some of them were asymptomatic, but you have to take all of that into consideration when you're looking at the big picture, because you know we're basically retailers, banks. We serve customers, so we've got to be open, but
Right.
at the same time you've got to hear the concerns of your employees when it's all unknown. So putting all that together has made for a bit of a challenge, but we've got some
Absolutely.
great people here that just push through, and they work hard, and they want to be there for their
Right.
customers and serve them. So it's good to uh, to see them step up and push through and continue to serve these rural communities where, in some communities we're the only outlet that that our customers have for financial needs.
Right. Right. And that's like you said. It's real. We have to take each situation and view it in the way we need to, but also, hey, you guys are still there to serve your communities, and that's a great thing. Well, we got just a few more minutes, and so one thing that also binds us together is college football, and we, like I mentioned earlier, you guys took my friend Hunter and I to Alabama Tennessee game. And you guys look like you guys are going to have a pretty good year. You guys got a great coach up there. So what's everything looking like in Knoxville for you guys?
Well, I'll tell you, the last 12 seasons or 13 seasons maybe have not been as fun as as the seasons I remember growing up, and but I do believe that we have a good football coach, and of course I know he was your position coach for a while,
He
Jeremy Pruitt,
was. He was.
and I don't hold that against him. I said no,
That's right.
he seems to be the type of coach. He knows football. Look, all these guys know football, but not everybody's a teacher. Not
Right.
everybody's a leader.
Right.
He seems to be the kind of guy that knows football, but I feel like in interacting with him and watching him with his players, that he knows the heart of his players. And if you can win their heart, you can get them to go to battle for you.
That's
So,
right.
this is 7 straight games that they've won now, going back to last year, and it's not been pretty, but the previous coach would have lost 5 of those 7 games.
Yeah, we
You,
got
you
him
know,
now.
and yeah, but he's interning for you while
That's
we're
right.
still. I think we're about done paying him though.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's right. And
So
maybe he'll probably be leaving as soon as you guys get done paying him. But we,
yeah, I was really hoping that he got the Colorado State job last year so we could quit paying him, but I
yeah,
guess he's got too good of a gig working there in Tuscaloosa.
yeah,
But
that's right.
no, football is fun. Football was something that my dad loved,
Mhm.
and as a kid I did that, and we tailgated, and we were season ticket holders, and that's just always been something that's to our family. That's been what we do.
Absolutely. And
This year's a little strange. We
yes,
did we got 4 total tickets out
well,
of
hey,
about the 14 that we have between my sister, my
yeah,
mom, and I, and so we're having to share tickets this year, but that's okay. It's a little
that's right.
different. But it's been that's been our family time, and even and as far back as I could remember tailgating, my dad always used that as a ministry too. He would
Yeah,
invite Sunday school members or invite prospective Sunday school members from his class, and I never knew week to week who would be going to the football game with us, but he loved it. He loved sharing it with people. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart, and my son loves it. So we get to talk football all the time, and
yeah.
he was a little irritated Saturday night with our quarterback, but I wasn't, because he completed passes only to the guys in white jerseys, not to the guys in red jerseys last
That's
week. So
that's right.
it was
Hey,
good.
that's good stuff. And you know what what is what's unique about Coach Pruitt is, and I would say the same about Coach Saban and anyone who's really been in his system, is that like we talked about pivoting earlier, is that these guys, these coaches with that mindset of, hey, we're gonna compete against us. We're gonna be the best that we can be, regardless of the scoreboard, regardless of outside factors, because there's going to be outside factors. There's going to be outside noise, whether that outside noise is coronavirus, whether that outside noise is a political turmoil, whether that outside noise is whatever. When you come in the locker room, when you go to practice, when you go to workouts, you are the Tennessee Vols, you're the Crimson Tide, whatever team you're with, you're that team. And one thing I saw right when this was all happening, I saw Coach Pruitt, I saw Coach Saban, I saw Coach Kiffin, and I saw I can't remember, maybe Malzahn. I can't remember, some of these big guys that are in big SEC schools. What they were doing before any other schools were doing it, they were having Zoom meetings with players. They were transitioning, they were pivoting, and they were getting ready for. They didn't know if they're gonna have a season or not, but they couldn't stop. They couldn't just give up. They couldn't just quit because of a global pandemic. They had to figure out a way to still operate, to still have the same standard of excellence. It may look different. Hey, we may be 6 feet apart. We may be doing Zoom meetings for position meetings. We may have to change some things up. But those guys were really the pioneers of figuring out how they're going to do it. I mean, and Coach Saban, like he said he never used email until now, but he figured out he had to use it. And so, and that's, like you said, it's a family thing that you guys do. It's a family thing that we do. I was going to games since I was 7 years old with my dad. Like you said, you're going with your dad and tailgating. It was just just a family deal, and it still is. It brings families together, and it also, from our standpoint, from looking at coaches and the leadership standpoint, we also see great leadership amongst some of our coaches. And we've had those years at Alabama where the leadership hasn't been great, but since we've had Coach Saban, I guess this is his 13th season, 12th or 13th season. And so something like that. I think he got there in 2007. So we're looking at 13 years. So he's been 13 years, and same with you with Coach Pruitt. So it's been a great ride. But well, Adam. So here's our time is almost out. So before we end this interview, if you're in the Tennessee area, the Kentucky area, and they're looking for a bank that can serve them, how can they reach you guys? How can they find you? Where can they look you up at? And we're going to put all this in the description, but we want them to hear it from you first.
Oh, well, thank you. Commercial Bank. It's a very generic name, and so it works in a lot of different communities. But Commercial Bank, we're on the web at cbtn.com, okay. And we've got all the social media channels, and our marketing team does a great job of getting our message out and connecting. But even more importantly than that, we value our customers and appreciate their business and their trust and their loyalty, especially in times like this. So it's we're in East Tennessee and Southeast Kentucky, but with internet banking, online banking, we can be around the world.
So that's right. That's right. Hey, we need to get you down here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We'll come right there and see you, brother.
Well, if you find me a spot, we may come.
I'll be looking. Hey, does Tennessee play? Do we play up there this year?
We'll play in Knoxville this year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe next year, we can go look at some land around. Maybe
by next year, that would be a good time.
That's right. That's right. Well, Adam, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and everyone that's listening, go check Commercial Bank out. We'll have everything in the details. But guys, thank you so much for listening today, and you're listening to the Talking with Taylor podcast.